What's up? How you doing? Here we are, beautiful day today. I am back. From Idaho. So about a year ago, I was thinking about the years, and I said 2024 is coming, and I was thinking about Evel Knievel, 1974, Snake River Canyon jump. And I said, there's got to be something that somebody's going to do to honor that anniversary 50 years later. And not too long ago, we were looking on the internet and noticed that they had plans for that day. Anybody who knows me knows that I am a huge Evel Knievel fan, huge. He's a big part of my childhood, and he inspired all of us back then. It's hard to explain to somebody today how popular Evel Knievel was. There's nothing around like him. I mean, there are people now, they do stunts with motorcycles. A lot of them go further. I mean, they jump higher, they land on dirt mounds. But there was something about Evel Knievel. He was kind of like the first. I don't think there was anybody before that was doing this kind of stuff. And he was inventing it as he went along. And you got to keep in mind, the shock absorbers back then were horrible. If you hit too hard, no matter how strong you were, I mean, I don't care how much you trained your forearms doing hammer curls or regular curls for the forearms to increase grip strength, you cannot hold on to those handlebars with that kind of momentum. 80 miles an hour, hitting that landing ramp, and if you're slightly off, the force is going to throw you over. And that's what happened to him. Nowadays, they land and it's like they're landing nice and soft. No big deal. Now, you can still hurt yourself. I mean, there's people that die doing that. Matter of fact, a young guy died a few years ago trying to break a record. He didn't clear it and he hit the side of the hill, and that was it. Very dangerous. But for my generation and anybody a little bit older than me, he was a huge inspiration. Huge inspiration. Look at this. Life of Evel. Very interesting guy, and like I said, he was huge. I had a friend, and I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to mention it again because I'm a huge fan, so I'm going to mention it again. But I had a friend, in those days, kids played a lot. You'd go outside, there were a couple of kids here, a couple of kids there, you'd start playing. Maybe half a day you were with this group, the other half with this group. So I used to go down, my friend had air hockey in his basement, and he had a big poster. Well, he didn't have it, his sister. He had a sister, bit of a tomboy, but she had this big poster of Evel Knievel, Snake River Canyon jump. And every time I would go in that basement, I would always look at that poster in amazement. You know, I could never get enough of it. You know, it was like something that spoke to me. Picture of the rocket, Evel Knievel, and so when I heard about the anniversary, the 50th anniversary, I had to go. It made me very happy. I can't even explain how happy it made me. So we used to jump our bikes. People don't jump bikes anymore. They're afraid they're going to hurt themselves. It's like their mothers are like, hey, don't do that, you're gonna fall down. Yeah, we fell down all the time. We got back up. But I had a 5-speed Apollo Ross. It was like a chopper, handlebars up here, but it was comfortable for me. And even though it wasn't a BMX bike, I could jump it much better than anybody with a BMX. We had this street in my neighborhood that had all these rocks that looked like ramps. And there was one particular rock that really stuck out, and if you hit it just right, it would give you a lift. So like Saturday afternoons, we'd all gather on this street. It was a private street, so there were no cars on it. That's why they never paved it. And we would go way back, you know, like 100 feet or so, and pick up speed and hit the rock and jump. and then measure the distance. But back then we never thought about getting a camera and videotaping it. Not videotaping it, but with a Super 8mm, one of those cameras. My father had one, but it just never popped into our brains. We spent hours and hours jumping because of this inspiration, Evel Knievel. And then I get into the 5th grade, and they were rebuilding a park not too far from my house. So it was a couple of miles away, but back then 2 miles away was not that far. So I got on my bike, and 2 of my other friends joined me, and we went to this field, and they had a perfect dirt mound, perfect angle, perfect pitch, and we would go all the way to the top. It was this hill in the woods up at the top, and it would go right through the middle of the woods and then get on the pavement, and the dirt mound was like, I don't know, 50 yards or so away. But the hill would give us really, really good speed. And then we would hit that mound. It was like perfect, like somebody built it with us in mind. And I would get such lift off of that, really high up and far, and I would land hard, and then we'd measure it. Now I had my Apollo 5 speed. You can look it up, see what that looks like. And I used to get some good lift on that bike. Had the shifter, right? And my friend, I had a friend named John back then. He had a 10 speed. He was jumping at 10 speed. And then my friend Mike, he had a BMX. His parents divorced, and they lived in Florida, but they shipped him up north. And he was raised by his grandmother, and his grandmother, you know, anything Mike wanted, she would get him. So he wanted a BMX bike, she went and got him a BMX. I was asking for a BMX bike since the end of World War II, and my father, I asked too much money. You know, my bike was like $178 back in 1976 when I bought that bike. But he wouldn't give me a BMX. I wanted a nice red line with the fiberglass rims. And the reason I wanted fiberglass rims is because the bugs are out tonight. It's starting to get on my nerves. The reason I wanted fiberglass rims is because the jumps that I would do would be high and far, and when I would land hard, and the tire would warp. You know, and it would end up hitting the side of the rim. So we had this bike shop down the street. The guy was an expert. And I'd bring it down there and he'd fix it back up. And my father would pull out the cash. Back then everything was cash. And he'd pay, and about a month later I was back down there. The guy was fixing my spokes. So, good memories. I had a really, really, really good childhood. Evel Knievel, the $6 Million Man, and Saturday morning cartoons were a huge part of my childhood. Really fun time. Sometimes I wish I had a time machine to go back for a couple of days and relive those days. I really miss them. But this past weekend kind of brought some of that back to me. Not some of it, a lot of it back to me. I got to see the rocket, I got to see the dirt mound, I got to see all the things that I wanted to see, including the motorcycle, and it was surreal to me. And something really awesome. I got to meet one of the sons there, Evel Knievel. What a nice guy. This guy is really nice. So he was there walking around. I shot some video. First they gathered at some gas station place, so I was there. Then I went further up and I shot a video of them driving over the bridge. And then I went to the Main Street area where they had all these motorcycles, and the rocket was there. And I was looking at it, and it was like looking at the Grand Canyon for the first time, you know, where you can't get your eyes off of it because your brain can't wrap itself around it. I kept looking, I had to go touch it. And so Evel Knievel was there. I don't know if he was named after Shinho Kelly. I don't know where that comes from, but good Irish name. I like that name, Kelly. But he was there, and then I ended up waiting and talking to him. We got some pictures with him, and he autographed some of the posters we bought. We bought a bunch of t-shirts too. And I was like, wow, in my mind I was like, this is so amazing. So I said to him that I was at Robbie Knievel's last jump, which I thought I was being 100% accurate, because when you go to Wikipedia and you go, it says here, Wikipedia page, it says Robbie Knievel's last jump was held October 29th, 2011 in Coachella, California at the Spotlight 29 Casino. That's where I went. And I was there right in the front. I shot video. If you search on this channel, you could find that video. I look like 30 years younger. And he jumped 150 feet. So I was there for that. And I made a comment to Kelly. I said to him, you know, I went to the jump and Robbie was in the air for like, you know, a second. He was up and he was down. And I think he got a little annoyed with that comment. I didn't mean it that way. I meant that he went so fast that he went up and down, like so fast that you didn't even notice. Like, because I remember going up, he's down. I was just trying to make the point that he was traveling at such a speed that the distance of 150 feet was instamatic. And I think he took it as me kind of taking a shot at the jump not being that impressive because he was only in the air for a second. And he said to me, you know, like 3 seconds went by, and I guess the wheels in his mind were spinning. And he says to me, "What'd you expect him to be up there for?" And I said, "I don't know, 5 seconds." But, you know, I was just trying to make a point that he went fast over that, and you can't go any slower because you're not going to make it across. But I remember when I saw him jump, he starts and I'm looking at it, I'm videotaping it, and before I could, like, I noticed what happened, but before my mind could absorb all that, it was done. And somehow I was hoping it was like that slow motion that they would show you on ABC Wide World of Sports when Evel Knievel would jump. It would be all slow. That's what I was expecting. And I know that that's not the way it works. So I just wanted to say to him that I wasn't taking a cheap shot at the duration of time that he was in the air. I was just saying how fast he, you know, ended up going and how fast it was before he landed. That's it. So that was an impressive landing, though. He landed nice and soft. And if it was always like that, you know, these guys wouldn't break any bones. But then again, if you don't crash, you don't get that, you know, that you don't give off the inspiration. Because for Evel Knievel, the crashes were what gave you the inspiration. It's like he crashed and then a few months later he was back. Even in Wembley, that Wembley Stadium there in England, that was a huge wipeout. Is that the Phantom bike? Is that what they call that? It's like the bike's chasing him. When you play it in slow motion, when you play it in regular speed, it's like boom, it's done. But in slow motion, the motorcycle is coming after him, and he's flipping and flipping and flipping, and he broke a bunch of things, including his pelvis, which to me sounds extremely painful. Not to mention the femur is painful. I think he broke that a bunch of times. And then he said that he said to all the people of, what do you say, England or something, you are the last to see me jump because I will never, ever, 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 ever jump again. I'm through, I'm done, or whatever he said. And then I guess he's in the hospital thinking about it, and he goes, yeah, it's not a good way to go out. So he called up the guy that was in charge of producing the film on that, and he said to him, "Don't you dare show that." And I was thinking, in today's world, it wouldn't make any difference because you'd have about 5,000 other people with cell phones, maybe more, just getting it from all kind of different angles and capturing your voice saying, "I will never, ever, ever, ever jump again. I am through." But it's understandable. I mean, I don't know why he thought that was a big, like dark mark on his career. Everybody understood that what he was doing was something that no one else would do. No one. I don't know anybody who would jump like that, break bones, and then heal and then do it again. Nobody. So he ended up going out with a perfect landing. A few months later, I think he jumped here in the US again, and the landing was nice. Although when you see him coming in, it looks like he's gonna flip over. Like he's like this. And if he had gone on another 25 feet like that, the bike would have gone over and he would have broken his back. So But he was very inspirational, very inspirational. He he did things that, as a kid, you couldn't stop thinking about. You know, I got into bike jumping because of him. But like I said, I always wanted that BMX. And to this day, I've never owned a BMX bike. I don't mean a real one. I mean a pedal, one that you pedal. And so I said, when my daughters get to be a certain age, you know, the age of knowing how to ride a bike, I would get a BMX for them, and I did. So I got BMX there for my daughter, but I wanted a red line. You know, I remember one night, it was starting to get dark, because in the 70s we played even after the lights came on the streets. I was still out there doing my thing, practicing the jumps. And I remember one night I said, I'll do one more. So I said, you guys watch this. I went way back, and I picked up speed, really good speed, and I hit that rock, and I went way up in the air, and I hit hard, and I fell through the handlebars in front of the bike. And right here, if you look really close, you can still see that it's skin that I wasn't born with. It's a little bit of a scar tissue there. So I landed on my elbow like that, and when I got up, this piece here was missing. And I remember I went home, and I went to the bathroom, and I got hydrogen peroxide, and I made it fizzle like Alka-Seltzer. And my mother was visiting this neighbor that was about 3 blocks away from us. And then when I came home, I had put a tape here, and I said, yeah, fell off a bike. And that's all I said. I wasn't too big on information, you know. So yeah, I always followed the jumps of Evel Knievel. But it was crazy. My neighborhood had a lot of kids, and we'd all play outside all day long. Relivio, hide and go seek, or hide and seek, hanging out, you know, stuff like running. Kickball was a big thing, a lot of kickball in those days. But Relivio was my thing. I was fast. I was a fast kid. I had good speed, and I loved playing Relivio. Nobody could catch me. I was like really slithery. So when they would announce, though, that Evel Knievel was jumping, the whole neighborhood would clear out. And if you drove through it, you would think nobody lived there. It was dead. Where prior to that moment, like an hour before, there was street hockey being played, there was touch football on the streets being played, there were kids on their bikes, and then Evel Knievel was jumping, and we were all in the kitchen, because that's where most of the stuff happened in my house. The kitchen table, we had breakfast, we had lunch there, we had dinner, we had conversations there. We watched television in there, and anything like that, Evel Knievel, we were there for that. My father was a huge fan as well. The memories I have with my father is watching Evel Knievel jumps and boxing. There was not a fight that we missed that was worthy of any kind of championship. We watched all those fights. Muhammad Ali, Thrilla in Manila, Rumble in the Jungle, Larry Holmes, Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Roberto Duran, Tommy Hearns, you name it, we watched. And another thing we used to do is Tuesday night fights. No matter what was happening, me and my father would gather around the kitchen table and watch Tuesday night fights. Sean O'Grady was commentator there, Nick Charles, and these were not big name fighters, but we'd watch them. And we enjoyed it, Tuesday night fights. And then when Tyson came around, USA Boxing was on, and my father and I would watch that all the time. So I grew up in a house where boxing ruled. Big fan of boxing. And even to this day, I enjoy, you know, I like sitting back and watching a good match. Roy Jones Jr. It's like, it's endless. I mean, my father would say, hey, tonight Ali's fighting, and I'd be all excited, and I'd wait up, Even though I was sleepy, I'd wait up and the fight would come, and I was like, my eyes were like concentrating on the action. George Foreman, Joe Frazier, obviously, all those fights, they were, Ken Norton, which was one of my favorites. I thought Ken Norton was a great fighter. Ali had a hard time with Ken Norton, but George Foreman had no issue with knocking out Ken Norton. Very easy fight for Foreman, but Ali beat Foreman. So the matchups, And then when Evel Knievel would jump, my father would be like, "This guy's crazy. This guy's crazy." Because my father rode a motorcycle too, and a lot of noise there. And I will say, so in 1974, the week before the jump, Snake River Canyon, we had returned from a 3-month vacation in Greece. We were there for 3 months, and a lot of stuff was going on. The invasion of Cyprus by Turkey. It was like really chaotic, a lot of drama. So I remember that vividly. So we land, and my uncle came to pick me up, and he took me, my mother said, "You gotta get him a lunchbox. He starts school tomorrow." It was the next day, was the first day of school. So we stopped at the A&P, and he got me, the guy was locking up, and my uncle gave him hand signals to, we want to get something. And the guy opened up the door, he goes, "What do you need?" And he goes, "I need a lunchbox for him." And he goes, "Right there." He goes, "Just grab one quickly." So we went in there, I'm examining everything, and my uncle goes, "Grab the Bruins. It's a good team." So I grabbed the Bruins. Later on, I think it was like, a couple of years later, I ended up getting an Evel Knievel lunchbox. Evel Knievel. And, to this day, I have great memories thinking back about this guy called Evel Knievel. And I will say the name, clever. It's the name, you look at it, it just sticks out. There's something that carves into your brain with this name, Evel Knievel. It's all about the name. That's why pro wrestlers and actors of the old days would come up with these sharp names. This is a sharp name, Evel Knievel. It rhymes, evil, I love it, it's so cool. And, I think the story goes that he was arrested. What was he, like, he was racing on his bike? I don't know what the charge was. I know it wasn't loitering. But anyway, he was arrested. They had him in a cell. He's Knievel. The guy next to him is Knaufel. And the police officer said, "Oh," he goes, "we have awful Knaufel here, and we have Evel Knievel here." I don't know whatever happened to Knaufel. I don't know if Knaufel became a big shot somewhere, and we don't know about it. I don't know if he's still around. I don't know. You don't hear much about Knaufel. But Evel Knievel. It reminds me of Rocky. Rocky 1, there's a scene where Apollo is looking for an opponent. They had books back then with no internet to look up opponents. They had these books he was flipping through. He's like, "What about this guy's guy? I don't feel the magic." He goes, "I don't feel it." And then all of a sudden he goes, "This is it. The Italian Stallion." He goes, "It's the name. The media will eat it right up." And Evel Knievel is even better. I mean, this name does it. You hear Evel Knievel, and even if they told you nothing about him, if somebody said, "This guy Evel Knievel," you know there's something great there. Like if his name was Joe Smith. Yeah, Joe Smith jumped yesterday. He would be, but Evel Knievel jumping, it's a fantastic name. It has the stars in it, stripes, very patriotic. And then I will say there was a cartoon, because I was big on cartoons in the 70s. But there was a cartoon, Devlin. What was it called? Speed Racer? What was that cartoon called? Devlin was the older brother that would jump his motorcycle. And what a cool, I used to watch that and go, how cool is this? They travel the country, they go to different circuses, they solve crimes on the side, and the whole buildup is that he's going to do a jump. And he had the brother whose voice was done by, I think, Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees. And then they had that little girl who was like their sister. She was very smart. And then they do a jump with that cool drum beat music, and it was all like strobe light jumping. and it was based on Evel Knievel. Devlin, Evil. But this is a great picture. Look at that. So everything about this guy grabbed me when I was a kid. Everything, even now. So I will say thank you to Kelly Knievel. This guy, such a nice guy. So what happened was, we got in late the day before. Not late, but it was like 10 o'clock at night. We went out to eat at a nice restaurant. Came back. I saw that the truck with the Evel Knievel motorcycle was still there. I parked in the back. The elevator was right there. We went up to our room, went to sleep, got up the next day, packed our stuff, and it was time to go. We had a flight to catch in Boise. So we get to the car, and Boise is about 2 hours away from where we were. Get to the car, but the doors won't open. That means one thing. Either the battery in the fob is dead, or the battery in the car is dead. Well, the battery in the car was dead. So I had to pull out that key thing to open up the doors to get the hood open. and my wife's starting to panic. My wife's panicking. She's like, yeah, we got a plane to catch, and what time, because she called up the company to send us a tow truck to jump it. And those guys are never on time. So she's panicking, and then I go, I don't want to hear this panicking thing going on here. So I'm going to go inside the hotel lobby there and see if anybody has jumper cables. So there were a few people there waiting in the front to check out. And I said, anybody here have jumper cables? My battery died. And this lady next to me and this guy that was a few feet over from her, they both said they had something. And the guy said, I have jumper cables. And she said she had one of those devices that, hook up to the battery and start up. And I go, that's even a better choice, because my car was faced inward and there were cars parked next to it. It would be hard to get the cables all around. So I chose her apparatus, her device. It seemed a lot better, a lot easier. And so we're walking out into the parking lot. Very nice lady. Very nice lady. She could have just ignored me and said nothing. But she helped. And I really appreciate that. When somebody does that, I appreciate it a million times over. I mean, I just feel like, a lot of times people will hear that and like, I don't have time for that hassle. But she immediately said, I have something I can help you with. So we walk out into the parking lot, and I'm looking, and we're going towards a car there that I see a person I recognize, and that's Kelly Knievel. And I go, yeah, we met yesterday. He's like, yeah, we took pictures, and we started talking again there, and realized that was his wife, and that she brought me to him, and that's who she meant had the little, charger thing. I go, what are the odds of that happening? I couldn't have planned it that way if I tried. Couldn't have planned it. My battery dies. I left the light on, one of those side lights, the yellow lights. Didn't notice it because that car that we rented did not make a noise, didn't beep, or, like my truck here. If I leave a light on or something, it'll immediately start making a noise that you forgot something, pay attention. That didn't do anything. And then when I locked it, it locked. Even though the little lights were on, my truck will not lock. You'll hit the thing, it won't make the noise, beep, beep. That one didn't make a noise regardless. Didn't matter if the lights were on or off. You would lock it, it would just lock. It didn't make a beep noise if you over push the button. Like this one, if you hit it like 3 times or whatever, twice, it'll give you a beep. If you hear no beep, then that means something is wrong. Either the lights are on, the engine is running, something. So you always check it. That one didn't give me an indication. So we went upstairs, fell asleep, and it drained the battery. And for me, meeting Kelly Knievel was the frosting and the cherry on top of the delicious cake. That's what it meant to me. And really nice guy. He immediately came over. He walked with me all the way to the back there. He helped out. He did the whole hookup thing. I would have hooked it up to the radiator or something. Because these new cars, they don't look, I'm used to like the 70s where the battery is there. It looks like a battery. The terminals are here. You know what to do. This thing, you have to pull this off and remove it. I would have removed the stuff next to it. cause an explosion. So he knew where it was, and he put it on, and I want to say, you know, a second later, I hit the button and the car starts up. He talked to my daughters a little bit, which I appreciated. He asked them, you know, what their names were. Really nice guy. Nice guy. And, yeah, I'm really, like, you know, really thankful that he was there for that. Otherwise, who knows? Who knows? I mean, you know, I would have gotten the guy with the jumpers to help me, but I preferred Evel Knievel to help. And like I said, his wife, awesome. There's a lot of people, like I said, you know, they will hear something like that and go, I don't have time for that. But I always repay the favor to someone else, because I don't think Kelly's going to be driving and have a breakdown in front of my house where I can go and help him. But a while ago, many years ago, my battery died on my other car, and I was up in Hollywood. I didn't, you know, I was just like, car died, and all of a sudden a truck pulls up next to me. He sees me there, and he pulls out the cables. Boom, boom, boom. I say thank you. He leaves. What was that? And he, you know, they left. It was a truck. Gave me a jump. There was a couple of, you know, maybe 3 guys in that truck. And I said, if ever that happens again, I want to help, you know, whoever it is. So time went on like it usually does, and I was at Ralph's grocery shopping. This was during the pandemic, and there was a guy and his wife, old people. Guy looked like he was in his 80s, and she looked like she was in her 80s as well, and they couldn't get the car started. So I walked over and I go, what is it, the battery? Goes, I think so. So I go, all right, I got some wires here, I can help you. And I jump started for him. Guy told me he was coming, he just finished his cancer therapy today. He was doing chemo. And I saw him, I felt really bad for him. He was there, he didn't know what to do, his wife didn't know what to do. Luckily I happened to be there, and I said, you know, because people have helped me, and even if they didn't, I'd still help, but I feel like I owe it. I owe it back. You know, I feel like I give the favor to somebody else who's in need. And that's the way it should be. You know, I've gotten you know, help along the way in my life. You know, I've mentioned a story where I ended up in Utah. This many years ago. I had a little car, and I had a Toyota Corolla, 1979, and the needle was on E. I kept going up the mountain. It was dark. It was nighttime. I'm going up the mountain, and there's no gas station. And I know that I can't stop anywhere. It's a narrow road. I can't stop anywhere. So I go as far as this takes me, and hopefully it takes me somewhere where there's an opening I can park. Luckily, I went up and there was a mobile station. And I parked, and it was closed. And I said, okay, well, I made it this far on empty, because the E was, you know, the needle was on E for a long time. I should have been out of gas a long time before that. So I just waited there, and I said, tomorrow morning when the gas station opens up at 7, then I'll leave. Well, about an hour of me waiting there or so, truck pulls in. Guy looks at me and he's like, out of gas? I go, yeah. Thought he was just, you know, small talk. Pulls out the keys, opens up the door. He was the owner. Flips up the switches, lights come on, comes out, he goes, get what you need. I filled it up. And my car back then, $15 filled it up. So I was like blown away by the kindness. He could have drove by and he could have been like, yeah, I'm not opening up the place. And just left me stranded there. Wouldn't have, you know, I wouldn't have blamed him. I wouldn't have known, first of all, but I wouldn't have blamed him because, you know, that's my problem. But anyway, he came, he helped me out, and I gave him a 20, like the song says. I said, keep the change. I would have given him more if I had it, but in those days I didn't have it. So I got $15, I gave him the 20, I said, keep the change. And if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. It's a famous line. So I drove off, and I remember that. Helped me out. And then those guys by the in Hollywood, they helped me out. So I always give the favor back. If I see somebody who needs something I can do. If I can't do it, then I can't do it. But changing a tire, helping with a jump, stuff like that I can do. So yeah. So thank you, Kelly Knievel. I really appreciate it. And also, I just want to say that the Knievel family, Evel, Robbie, have really been an inspiration. And I will say a quick Robbie Knievel story. So back in '89, I think it was '89 when he did the Caesar's Palace jump, my father was working, so we had already bought, it was on pay-per-view. We already paid for all that, and I was excited. Another Knievel. It's going to be like the continuation of the Knievel saga, right? And my father had to work late that night, so I'm at the kitchen, and my mother, my sisters, they're also there. I'm nervous. I'm feeling like I'm jumping. I'm really like nervous. I can empathize. How he felt, and I kept looking out the window. Where's my father? I want to watch it with my father. So he wasn't around. So Robbie, they're doing all the interviews and stuff, and then the jump, and he jumps over, and smooth, just really smooth, nice arc. Boom, lands, goes right by the cement pillar, and success. And I felt like 1,000 pounds was lifted off my shoulders. I felt relief for him. I was extremely happy that he did it, because that other guy, what was his name, Wells? Was it Gary Wells? That guy, he missed the landing ramps. I don't know, somebody moved it over as a joke. They said to move it over a little bit, see what happens. But he's up in the air, it's going really fast, and he landed to the left of it, I think, and then he heads right for the wall, and he jumps off at the last second. The bike smashes, but he got messed up. He really got screwed up. He was in a wheelchair. They had to do open heart surgery on him. He died not too long ago. So when Robbie made it, I was like relieved, and and then I saw the father, Evel Knievel, there talking, and that brought back memories. So the Knievel family has really brought happiness to me, and especially now, again, when I was able to see all the stuff. Like I said, the motorcycle, the rocket. I went to the launch site, and I got to relive my childhood a little bit. I got to relive my childhood. So once again, thank you to Kelly, his wife. I appreciate it, and I thank you. I thank you. I can't, because words, they're just words, but I mean it. Inside, I really mean it. I wish I could, give you the way I feel for helping me out, and I appreciate it 100 times more when somebody doesn't have to help. It's other people, they do it because they're on the spot, they feel like they're obligated somehow. It wasn't the case, so he gave me a hand when I needed it, and I appreciated it. I appreciate it now. So yeah, remember the Fonz try to copy him there with the, what did he jump over? Was it trash barrels? And then he crashed into the chicken thing there. They were selling chicken. He smashed into that. Henry Winkler. I've met the Fonz in real life. I've met him a few times now. A couple of times I met him. You can only meet him once, but I met him once, and then I saw him again up the street from here. I approached him, and I think I don't know what he thought I was going to tackle him. He backed up. I said, I come in peace. Come in peace. Calm down, Fonzie. Just wanted to ask him a question. And then another time I was at a restaurant, and this restaurant has live fish and everything in the fish tank, and then other fish on the ice. So I said to my daughter, I go, let's go check out the fish. And I went over there, and I heard somebody laughing, that out of control laughter, and I look over, and Henry Winkler was sitting at one of the tables, and he was like laughing and holding his chest, and he was laughing a little too much. I wanted to tell him it's a little too much laughter there, out of control. Yeah. So very happy about that. Oh, and I will say, I met this this guy, very interesting guy. I think he said he was, what do you say, Wyoming? The only state that's a verb. So I was on the dirt mound where the actual launch happened, and there's this guy, he looks like a biker, Harley Davidson, got the longer hair, and we start talking, and he says to me, I was here in 1974. He says, I was 11 years old. He goes, I was over on that side, shot a lot of pictures, and he goes, I have an album of, you know, one of those book things, whatever, that you put pictures in. And he goes, I have it, I don't know where he had it, in the car in his hotel. And we talked for about, you know, I don't know, 5-6 minutes there. Told me about how the whole place looked back then when he came as a kid, and how excited he was and all that. Really good guy. I saw him on Main Street again. I kind of tapped his arm, you know, saying, hey, I'm here, how you doing? And then there's a thing I didn't notice. I don't know if he thought I noticed him, but I didn't notice. When I went over to Evel Knievel to get my poster signed, my wife came over too, because she likes to explain things. I could have explained it, but she likes to make sure that, you know, it's explained correctly. Oh, and I have to mention that jump at Coachella. So, more than what I mentioned earlier. But anyway, so my wife came over explaining, sign it to this name, to that name, whatever. And then she takes pictures of me with Kelly. And then some woman over there, she says, hey, would you like me to take a picture of all of you together? And my wife says, sure. Now I'm paying attention to this woman. I'm not looking next to her. And so we take the picture, and then I say thank you, you know, and I go around and I go that way where my camera was. Well, when I was looking at the video last night, I noticed that the guy that I was talking to on the dirt mound the day before, he was there too, right next to this woman. But I had tunnel vision. I was only looking at her, at the camera, and then when she snapped it, I walked around, I looked, I didn't even notice him. So if you're watching this video, I'm talking about the guy that I met, you know, on the dirt mound. If you're watching this video, I didn't notice you. I really didn't notice you at that moment. I noticed you after when I saw the video, but I apologize. I was not shunning you. I wanted to see your pictures. I really wanted to see your pictures, and you know, I'm very you know, sad that I didn't see those pictures. Those would have been really interesting. I watched the video, and in the video I could see you showing them to Evel Knievel. But I would have loved to have seen him. But I was not ignoring you or shunning you or anything like that. I just didn't notice you. I was too busy focusing on your wife taking the picture. I think that was your wife, you know, but you were together with her. And then I kind of looked down and walked away. And then when I saw the video, I go, he was right there. Otherwise, I would have asked you after you've shown them to Kelly if I could see them. I would have been really interested in seeing those. So, about the Robbie Knievel jumping Coachella. So I told Kelly that I was at Robbie's last jump, and he said, oh, you're talking the one in Palm Springs? And I go, no, not Palm Springs, Coachella. It's in the desert there on the other side in California. And then after I you know, the next day, I said to him it was Spotlight 29 Casino. And he goes, I don't think that was his last jump. He goes, I think, you know, he jumped in Palm Springs. He goes, it was golf carts that he jumped over. And I was thinking about it. I go, no, it wasn't golf carts. I didn't see golf carts. I know my wife said it was later, but she didn't remember. Power of suggestion. So he bet me, or he said, how much you want to bet? He goes, I'm not 100% sure. He goes, but how much you want to bet? And I'm all confident, you know, because it says here on Wikipedia, Knievel's last jump, meaning Robbie's last jump, was held October 29th, like I've read before, 2011 in Coachella, California, which is where I was. Spotlight Casino, Spotlight 29 Casino. And it says Knievel jumped 150 feet, 46 meters over semi-trailer trucks. That I remember because I videotaped it. So Kelly was saying to me that he jumped, his last jump was in Palm Springs, and he jumped over golf carts. Did not sound right to me. I go, you know, but here's the thing. Wikipedia has it wrong. That was the one I saw for years up until, you know, yesterday. I thought it was Robbie Knievel's last jump. It was not. He jumped after again in 2015 or something over golf carts. So technically, I owe Kelly Knievel $10. And I know it's, you know, we're kind of joking around, but he's actually correct. I wasn't at the last jump. I was at the second to last jump, because Wikipedia lists the jump I was at as the last jump. But if you look a little closer and do a little bit better research, you will see that Robbie Knievel jumped again in Palm Springs, I think in 2015. So 4 or 5 years later, he jumps again, and that's what he was talking about, and he's 100% correct. So I didn't know about the golf cart jump. I thought that the 2011 jump was the final one, and I was there for that. So I will say, I lost a $10 bet, and I stand corrected. I stand corrected. My recollection is correct where I was, but it's not correct that it was the last jump. The last jump was, out of all things, golf carts. I don't know who came up with that idea. They said, this is good marketing, you got to jump over golf carts. No. You know, I would have jumped over, I don't know, maybe, you know, what's a cool thing to jump over? You know, maybe some houses. Get a nice ramp and jump over a bunch of houses. So, yeah, that's it. And I was like, you know, adamant. I was like, no, I was, you know, being all for sure. Yeah, for sure. No, I was the last jump. Yeah, it's because Wikipedia. Do not trust Wikipedia. You know, and you can even check it. Wikipedia has it as his last jump. It says Knievel's last jump, but it was not. So I said, I didn't hear about him jumping again after that. Anyway, that's it. Now watch the video of the actual event. And once again, thank you, Kelly Knievel, and thanks to your wife as well. I appreciate it. What's up? How you doing? Here we are, Evel Knievel Memorial behind me here at Snake River Canyon. Can't believe it's 50 years. I was that big when the jump happened, or the rocket jump, and here we are 50 years later, like time traveling. So I'm very excited to be here. This is actually a good distance across. Thinking of taking my rental and trying to jump that. We'll see what happens later on. Alright, here I am. This is the mound that Evel Knievel launched from, September 8th, 1974. Still here, concrete is still here, bolts are still here that they secured the ramp on. I remember that when that happened, we were all in my neighborhood playing, all the kids, and then when he was going to jump, the neighborhood became a ghost town. We all went home to watch it on television. Fascinating. I mean, he was a good part of our childhood, Evel Knievel. I had a friend, he had a basement, and in that basement he had air hockey, and we'd go play that down in the basement once in a while, actually quite often. But on the wall where the door was, right on the wall there, concrete wall, there was a huge poster of Evel Knievel in the rocket Snake River Canyon jump. And that was his sister. She put it up there, and every time I would go down in that basement to play air hockey, I would look at that poster, And I was fascinated with that, fascinated with him, fascinated with the jumps, everything, the outfit, motorcycle, that trailer he had. Yeah, he was a big part of our childhood back when I was a kid, big part. That and Saturday morning cartoons. It was a good time to be a kid back in the 70s. Good childhood. I had a wonderful time, and he was a big part of it. So, like I said, I'm right here, right on the mound, or a small mount. Now, I see a ton of cows over there. I'll show you in a second. But very beautiful. Now, he tried to jump across there, but the parachute deployed immediately on takeoff, had a malfunction, and he got lucky and landed on a rock. Down below, had he not landed on that rock, he would have gone into the river and he would have drowned because his seatbelt, a lot of flies here, his seatbelt jammed, he couldn't get it free. So if not for the rock, he would have gone in the river and he would have died, because by the time they got to him down below, it would have been over. And that would have been the end of Evel Knievel. But he landed on the rock, they rescued him, and then he went on to do other jumps. Anyway, I'm going to show you a little bit around this area, and then I'm going to get down. Capiche? Are they going to have his rocket here, or?
It's going to be in town on Main Street.
Okay.
That's our next stop. We're gonna trade, because I rode my Harley out here from Wyoming.
Ah, nice.
So I might be in the parade tomorrow and try and get close to Kristen.
Was that the daughter?
His granddaughter.
Granddaughter.
And she's like a country music
Oh,
star.
she's
or
the
whatever.
singer. Is she the one that sang at Robbie's jump at Caesar's Palace in '89?
I don't know.
I think
Maybe.
she sang the national anthem.
That's Robbie's daughter.
Yeah, she was real small back then.
Yeah.
And she sang the national. Yeah, it's got to be her. Who else?
And
is
then
gonna sing?
I just want to get close enough to her to go, hey, look, you need to look at these. Look.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even think they understand how big the grandfather was at the time. I mean, you had to be that age and, you know, hanging
They
around
weren't
with.
even born yet.
Right. She wasn't born yet, but I mean, they were within the family, so they didn't see it the way we saw it.
Right.
All right. Right behind me is the mound where Evel Knievel launched from, September 1974, 50 years ago. Beautiful place out here. And that guy behind me I was just talking to, he was actually here in 1974 watching it live. So some guy I met up there that was here originally in '74 when the jump happened, he said that the guy that owns this trailer is going to do some kind of jump here tomorrow. I don't know how true that is, but if he does do it, I'm here. Very hot here today. Very hot. Even though it's 6 p.m., it's hot. It's hot for 12. It's hot for 2. It's definitely hot for 6. What's up? How you doing? Here we are. This is Evel Knievel's motorcycle. I can't believe I'm standing here. It's surreal. This guy gave us a very good childhood in the 70s. He was a hero to all of us, and so I'm very, very happy to be standing next to this bike. And tomorrow there's more to come.
Where's Ben Marshall? He's on his way.
Eating.
Throw out the red carpet.
Bye.